Welcome to La Jefa Experience, the place where moms in any stage of motherhood come to get tools, tips, and support to thrive as the CEO of their life and family. Hello, Jefas all over the world, and welcome to La Jefa Experience. I am your host, ROCIO Cisco. It is a beautiful day here in San Clemente. I am so excited to be here talking to you guys today about my topic of the day. But before I get to the topic of the day, I just wanted to chat with you guys and let you know what's going on. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for checking out the episodes that I have put out. This is my second video, so definitely leave a comment, leave a comment for me. Let me know how you're liking the studio, how you're liking the recording. I would love to hear from you guys and give me feedback on what you're noticing and what you're seeing. And thank you so much for your grace as I am learning and taking you guys along my journey while I'm learning to do the podcasting and speaking and even writing things to talk about. So thank you so much for tuning in. I know the last episode that I had, I didn't even realize the mic wasn't on, but luckily you guys could still hear me, and that's what it's going to be. Jefas, that's what it takes to be a jefa. You put yourself out there. You are doing something you've never done, and hey, it comes with the territory of learning and giving grace to yourself, and then moving on. Okay, so it is what I encourage all of you jefas to do. So you're going to see me do that along this project because I am learning and I've never done this before, right? So thank you for your grace, and hope I may this inspire you. May this inspire you to also step into something that is scary and unknown and new to you, because that is the only way that we're going to learn and get to be the person that we want to be and do the things that we want to do. Okay. Nobody gets anywhere by sitting on the sidelines, my loves. So get out there and do something. And thank you again for being along my journey and coming on the ride with me. I'm excited about it. So without further ado, what's going on with me right now? Well, actually, I just started my Mama Chingona challenge. My Mama Chingona started on Wednesday, and so excited to be coaching. I love coaching. I get so much enjoyment of watching people discover and uncover things about themselves that they never knew. It's such a beautiful feeling, and my cup gets so full. I'm so full by the work that I do, and I love to be that guide and to be, a part of that process, because I remember what that was like. I'm still going through it. There's days where I'm like, oh my God, I just connected something and something made sense to me, and there I go. I just learned something about myself, right? So I love being a part of that process, and the Mama Chingonas allows me to do that. I also love empowering women. So empowering mamas to start falling back in love with themselves by setting goals for things that they want to do, by intentionally taking action on things that they want in their life is very fulfilling for me. So we started that group. And other than that, I mean, coaching and mothering and managing a home and being the best partner that I can be intentionally is also still on the agenda. So that has all been going very well. We are planning a trip for the end of the month, so I will be getting you guys a new episode every week. Continue to be getting you guys a new episode every week and working around that. Like I said, creating processes, being disciplined and consistent with them is really something that has been a learning, a lesson for me during this start of the project of La Jefa experience. So yeah, I'm continuing that, and that's really what I'm going through, what's going on in my life right now. So what I'm talking about today in this episode is the things that no one told me about motherhood. And I want to preface this by saying it is not the things that you would think that I would be talking about, or at least that I believe that you would think I would be talking about, because I understand. I mean, people told me, you're not going to sleep. Just, wait till you have kids and it changes everything. And the time, I mean, there was things that I was told about motherhood that, I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. First of all, guys, I'm the type of person, if you tell me not to stick my finger in the socket because it's not good for you or for me, I'm going to stick my finger in the socket because I need to experience it for myself. That is the way I operate. And after so many years of that, of operating that way, I just learned that about myself. So everyone that told me about motherhood, thank you. I appreciate it. And just so you know, I like kept it in the back of my mind because that's not how I work. I need to go experience it. So now that I'm in it, I can really tell you, okay, this is what I've learned in motherhood. This is what I've noticed. And I don't believe it's any of those things that anybody told me. I knew I wasn't going to get sleep. I didn't know how long that was going to take. Obviously, nobody does. Every child is different. But yeah, those other things are to be expected, right? But these I wasn't expecting, and I'm talking from being a conscious person, someone who's aware, someone who's been healing wounds and trauma for a couple of years now, after a lot of years actually. So, and has been curious about learning about myself, has been curious in learning about myself. By the way, guys, you will hear me correct myself often. I'm very conscious of my words, and uh, I'm learning to speak intentionally because I didn't always do that. So thank you so much. Shout out to Mark England, who has been such a huge mentor in the word and speaking game, and he is a genius. So shout out to you, Mark England. Thank you so much for your knowledge and wisdom, my friend. Um, so going back to what I was saying about being conscious and aware and being curious in learning about myself for a very long time. Actually, I believe I've been doing it for my whole life now that I think of it, and I'm actually going back and thinking of my childhood. I've been doing it for a very long time, and well, it's no wonder why I'm where I'm at. So, um, this is what I have learned in motherhood. And the first thing that I have learned is that your unresolved trauma will come up often. And what I mean by that, and I really want to break that down a little, because the word trauma is such a buzzword, I would say, today in the self development, self improvement space, and even the conscious space is trauma, right? Well, there's levels to trauma. Let me put that out there. The trauma that I speak of is like emotional and physical trauma. So the response, or the definition that I have for it is a response to a stressful event that shatters your sense of security and leaves you feel disconnected, misunderstood, and unable, it can even leave you unable to trust people. So the response, it can vary. Okay. I'm speaking of emotional and psychological in this situation. Okay. So here's what I mean. If there is something that really affected me from a stressful situation that I had in my childhood, and I didn't know about it, I was completely unaware, or I haven't healed it, it's going to come up, and it's very, very possible that it's going to come up with my child, and it has. So I'm so aware of the things that are coming up for me that I have to take a step back. I choose to take a step back and say, okay, is this about me, or is this about my son? Is this about what he's doing or what he's saying or how he's acting? Or is this about me? And most often it's about me, because what I've read and what I understand, and I am such a big Dr. Shefali fan. For those of you that don't know Dr. Shefali, I will link her information in the notes because she talks a lot about conscious parenting, and conscious parenting is what I do my best to practice, is what I'm practicing. I am a conscious person, and I want to teach my son spirituality and consciousness as well. And what she talks about is parenting being an egocentric uh, process, because this is our child. We have a sense of ownership and control for this child. So things that they do, the way they operate, we believe in traditional parenting that it's a reflection of us, right? Yet that's not always necessarily true. There's so much that goes into that. And oftentimes, the way a child acts is not oftentimes. Let me rephrase that. Sometimes, the way a child acts could be a part of who they really are, because they are a sovereign being. They are the type. They are their own person. Okay. What we do is we try to parent them in the way either one we were parented, or we want to parent them to be like us, and that's egotistical. That's an opinion. You can say that's an opinion. Yet that's my opinion. It is egotistical to think that I want him to do what I'm going to do, react the way I'm going to act, uh, operate and be who I am. And that's not what I want for my son. So what that brings up for me is my ego, right? Like, this isn't about me. This isn't about me and what was done to me, or how I was treated. This is about him. This is about us. This is about the present moment. And it has nothing to do with my past or what I've experienced. So I it, I have to often remember I am not the master of my child. It is my job. It is my I'm blessed to be able to keep him safe, give him emotional well-being, right? Provide his needs and wants right now, and do that in a way where I can teach him how to operate in the world, how to be in the world, while also honoring who he could potentially be, because we don't know that now. We don't know that yet, right? How can I co-create moments and co-create this life with him, and not just try to put the hammer down, because that what was done to me, right? My parents didn't know any better. They didn't, there wasn't this conscious parenting wasn't spoken of as much as it is now. It wasn't even a thing back then. So one of the things to me that really sticks out is like my trigger of impatience, of being impatient. My parents were impatient with me, so that's what I learned. So my shit comes up, my stuff comes up when my son is doing something and I ask him not to do it anymore, or I try to distract him, because I also am really trying to do my best in refraining from saying no, don't do that. Language, right? Language matters. So when things come up and I get impatient, well, that's my shit coming up. That's my trauma, because that's what I learned. And that happens. That happens. Uh, I don't want to use the word often or even sometimes, but that happens, and that can happen. Um, so the triggers, right? We get triggered by people, but when we get triggered by children, is different. It's different, especially if there are children, because we don't hold back on our children. We aren't afraid to be seen by our children. So we unleash our um what's the word that I'm thinking of? Our ego. We unleash our ego on our children, and aren't afraid of what their reaction will be, because they're ours. Yet when someone on the street or a friend triggers us, or even a family member, we may think twice about our reaction, how we're going to respond. And think about it, right? Like, that's That's powerful. It's powerful, and it is so important to understand that we respond differently to our triggers with our children and everybody else. And I encourage us mamas to think about how we want to be showing up in those moments, because the this will carry on with them, and this will be something that they remember. Uh, these will be times that they remember. So you have the power to you have the power to work on your response and how you react to certain things with your children, because it isn't about you. It's about an us, and it's about them, right? So the unresolved trauma will come up. Be aware of that. Number two, the second thing that no one told me about motherhood was that uh, it would be a great idea to learn how to surrender. And also, let me preface that by saying there are levels to that as well. I thought I was surrendering to life. I thought I had done my surrendering. This is another level of surrendering. You're dealing with, it involves a human that is very dependent on you. Okay. So the surrendering that I had done was my independence, and just being independent from my own parents, and healing my own stuff, and self-parenting, right? Learning how to self-parent. And this is very different. There is a lot that happens in motherhood where there is no control, right? It seems like you're out of, at least I did. I felt like I wasn't in control. My body was changing, my emotions were changing, my hormones were changing, my hair was changing. Oh my God, I can um, prepare for birth, yet also that is also not in my control, because my body is going to tell me what it has to do when labor comes up. Um, and then your child is here, and you're starting from a blank slate. They don't have any routines. They don't have anything. They don't have anything. They're completely dependent on you. And it is up to you to set a routine and create habits and teach, and all of that from what you know. And so I it's it going to, like, the first thing that I mentioned, um it is it is difficult to, or normal, I'm sorry, it is normal to want to control. And then they throw a tantrum, or they throw something at you, or they scream, or they're waking up in the middle of the night, and you realize you really can't control, right? And for me, I'll be completely honest. One of the things that I have been really struggling with in motherhood, especially at such a young age, my son is 19 months old, is the whole sleep thing. Um, he slept through the night very seldomly. He has slept through the night very seldomly. And for the better part of a year and a half, just recently I've realized, and I became aware to the fact that I was no longer angry or upset, but getting woken up in the middle of the night is a very difficult thing to experience when I mean, let's be honest, mamas, jefas. I haven't slept in over 2 years with pregnancy and having a child. I haven't slept, and honestly, I don't know when I'm gonna sleep again through the night. Who knows? I don't know. Yet now I am learning to surrender to that, and not be angry or upset or thrown off by the fact that my child wakes me up in the middle of the night. um, I used to get up and be like, oh, I would make those noises, or I'd be like, damn, something. And again, words create your environment, words create your reality. When you're just like, and just complaining, and, doing it's setting the tone. And it was setting my tone. I wasn't angry at him. It was just like the act of getting up, the act of, oh, this is happening again. Yet, you know, I've learned now that I'm like, okay, And honestly, we recently just had guests in our house, and that helped a lot. I would say that that's really what started helping me a lot. Um, was because there was so many changes in our house. We had our guests in our house for a good like month, like, in and out, right? Guests staying in and out. So that changed our environment, and my son really did well in it. And it helped me surrender to the entire thing. It helped me surrender to, okay, this is what it is. And, my friend and mentor, I've spoken of her before, Not Perry, she talks about suffering, right? And when you are in an argument with reality, you are causing yourself suffering. And that's what I was doing for the better part of a year and a half. I was wondering why, what can we change? Well, I wasn't accepting that, okay, he's not sleeping right now. This is a season of life. It's not going to be like this forever. Who knows how long this is going to be like? Let go and surrender and put yourself in the best position and control the things that you can control and let go of the things that you can't. So that's what I mean by learning to surrender now. That's just one example. Yet there's other things that go on in motherhood and Hefaz, very well, like your kids don't want to eat what you have made them, or maybe they don't want to play with the toy that you just bought them. Holding on to those things and making them about us is really going to cause us suffering. So learning to surrender has been a big experience for me. I am still in the works, ladies, yet I am better, 1% better. Hefaz is all that we're asking for every single day. So, yep, learn to surrender, start exploring what surrendering even means to you, and that is my tip for you. The third thing that I learned in motherhood that has really helped me is that failing does not mean you are a failure. Failing does not mean you are a failure, mama. Okay? I see you. I have been in your shoes. I am so much better now. Yet when this first started, I felt like I was failing every single day. Every single day felt like I was in the pit and I was trying to claw myself out. I wasn't spending enough time with him. I wasn't getting any of my work done. I wasn't washing the dishes. I wasn't taking care of myself. You guys, if you heard the first episode, you know that I wasn't taking care of myself when we first moved out here because I had a newborn. I had a 9-month-old, and I didn't know that I wasn't taking care of myself. I was just allowing myself to fall into this moment and fall into, and not in a good way necessarily, right? I feel like I was getting a little depressed. I was getting a little anxious. I was more impatient. So a lot of my weaknesses and my shit was accentuated. So failing does not mean you are a failure, mama. We're doing the best that we can. We are in this experience for the first time ever. Our child is in the experience for the first time ever. We are learning together, okay? And failing means lessons. Now I can see this. Now I could see failing as, oh, I'm learning this. My failures are my lessons. And this is how I learn. And this is how I can choose to be better, right? It's a choice. You don't have to be better. You get to choose to be better when you fail. Um, and you get to choose to view them as lessons. It's all perspective as well. Yet what was happening with me, and it started carrying into even my relationship with Angelo, where he would tell me that maybe he wasn't happy about something or something I did upset him, and I felt like a failure. Like I'm like, because I was already feeling like that in motherhood, and I didn't get to the dishes, and I didn't get to wash the floors or mop the floors or anything like that. And then he gets home and he tells me that something, unrelated triggered him or upset him, or that I upset him. And then I go from being, trying or, feeling like, oh, God, finally I could get a breath. And then that he tells me something like that. And then I deflate and I'm like, it was very depressing for me. And I was feeling like I was a failure. And I want to tell you that now, because I know that I'm not a failure and I'm learning. So are you, mama. So are you. And it's going to be different, right? It's going to be different when we have 2 kids, 3 kids, 4 kids, 5 kids. And even if you only have one, like myself, it's the same thing across the board. These principles, guys, just like principles of a CEO, these principles are very similar across the board. And if you decide to really start honing in and learning these principles, you can apply them in your own way and validate your own experience with as many kids as you have, with a partner, without a partner, whether you want to build a business, whether you're happy not building a business, right? So failing does not mean you are a failure. My failures are my lessons. That is an affirmation that I use very often. Okay. And that is why, because I have written this affirmation down on a daily basis, that is why it is now starting to become a part of me. It is now something that I believe. I'm not a failure. I'm learning. And so is my child. Because when I learn that I am not a failure and I'm learning, I can apply that to him and teach him that. If he spills the water because he's learning how to sip out of a cup, it's okay, baby. You're learning. We're all learning. See how this applies? So look at the way you're seeing failure, mama. You're not a failure. You're learning. Number 4, discipline and consistency of my own practices matter more than ever in motherhood. Number 1. I'm sorry. Let me stop numbering things, okay? At least things that are not part of my list that I have written down here. Um, I want to share with you discipline and consistency has not been my strong suit and is not something that I was taught. I mentioned this in the first episode, okay? It is something that I learned, and I learned it when I decided to finally do something for me in working out. When I dove into my physical practice, it is when I learned the importance of discipline and consistency. Okay. It is only because I had done that for so long and it was ingrained in me to the point where when it wasn't there anymore, or when I wasn't disciplined or consistent to my own practices, I started feeling lost and I started feeling like something was missing and something didn't feel good. My body was telling me something didn't feel good. Okay. It is so, I've learned the importance of that now in motherhood because, as you guys know, as you Hefas know, it is extremely difficult to not want to over nurture, over tend to, overwhelm Hefa. It is extremely difficult to not want to do that when you are in such a big role as a Hefa of your house. Okay. Now, imagine for those of you that want to do something outside of that, how much more important it is for you to be disciplined and consistent. I find oftentimes because I coach CrossFit for 6 years, Hefas. I coached and I managed a business with my husband for that long, 6, 7 years. So I know the importance of this. And I have found that with a lot of clients and a lot of people, it's like we want a magic pill. We want a magic pill that gives it to us and it gives it to us right now, whatever we want. And that's not how this works. Discipline and consistency are going to follow you in everything you do, whether you're raising a child or building a business or giving yourself love and care and TLC, right? Tender loving care. Um, Discipline and consistency, there's just no way around it. There is no way around it. If you want to be successful in anything, discipline and consistency are the constants. Okay. It is a learned skill. Those are learned skills, Jefas. It is possible for you to learn it. It is possible for you to get good and better at it. Okay. So I encourage you, if you really are trying to get better at it, learn it. It is a skill. It is possible for you. You don't have to be the best at it now. You can work at being the best at it. It takes work to do these things. So do it if you want to. And if you don't, and you're happy where you're at, then I don't think this podcast may be for you. Okay. Yeah, unless trying to figure out whether or not, or you're in the process of learning that right now. Um, this podcast is about striving for better, wanting more, striving to be the best that you can be. And that's what discipline and consistency will get you. Okay. Cool. All right. Number 5, focus is extremely important in motherhood. Let me tell you why. The time gets cut so much. We've all said, right? Actually, let me not say we. Um, I know I've felt this before, so I will say there isn't enough time. There's not enough hours in the day. If you find yourself saying this, okay, and the first thing that you do when you have a moment is to go and get your phone and jump on social media or you go on Instagram for something, and before you know it, you're 45 minutes to an hour into looking at all the reels, you are doing yourself an incredible disservice. I am not here to shame and I am not here to judge because I have done it myself. Yet, intentionality takes you a long way, and so does focus. If you have an hour while your child is napping or someone's taking them or someone's taking your children and you have time to yourself and you want to give yourself something, shut off your phone or shut off the notifications. Do not go on social media because it is designed to just suck you in. That is what it's designed to do. I have noticed, maybe because my RAS system, my React, I forgot the acronym for RAS means, but reticular activated system or activating system. Basically, what it is when you are looking for something, you become more aware of it. The best example that I can give to this is you just bought a red convertible. And all of a sudden, you start to notice that there's red convertibles everywhere. Oh, another example, when you become pregnant, all of a sudden everybody around you is pregnant and you're like, what the hell, why are so many people pregnant at the same time that I'm pregnant? And that's your RAS system. So I have been more attuned to noticing how many moms are on their phones, and not just when like the playground's the keen time where people are, on their phones, their kids are off doing something, right? Um, Yet, and I'm not saying, again, I'm not saying that that's wrong. Yet I've noticed it. And also too, I just joined a club, a fitness club where there's childcare for 2 hours. I take advantage of the childcare. I go work out and then I go do some work. And I've noticed how many moms go in there and they just plop down and get on their phones. And it doesn't look like they're working. I mean, obviously that's a observation that I have in my perspective. Who knows? Maybe they're doing work on their phone. Yet their posture is not telling me like they're intentionally doing something. It doesn't seem, their posture and their body language is telling me like, oh, okay, I get to mindlessly scroll right now. And that's human, right? That's a human thing for us to do, especially being a mom where you're constantly alert and attentive to another human or humans, and all of a sudden you get time to yourself. You want to just be mindless and you just want to relax. Again, If that is what you want to do, great. This podcast may not be for you, because I'm talking to the person that wants to get things done, that wants to do things, that has other pursuits outside of managing a home and managing and being a parent and being a partner, right? I'm speaking to the person that wants to be better, that wants to have time for themselves, that wants to give themselves love, that wants to start something, that wants to pursue their dreams and their passions. And if you are that person and you're saying you don't have time, yet you find yourself reaching for your phone the moment you have some free time, then what are we really doing, right? There's no focus there. There's no intentionality. And focus is so important, because mama, you have no time. Or let me rephrase that again. Language is important. You have very limited time. So use it to your advantage and use it to what you want to use it for, not giving your time up to Instagram or Facebook. Mamas, jefas, CEOs, there is a time management applications on the phone that now you can limit your time on social media. So do your very best to be disciplined. And when you have time to yourself, have an intention, set goals to what you're going to do during that time, and stay focused. You also have the ability to shut off your notifications for all applications on your phone, to put your phone on airplane mode. Be disciplined in the focus of what you are doing so that you can do it to your best ability in a shorter amount of time, versus being so uh, uh, spread out, trying to do multiple things at the same time, and then you're not really doing them at to the best of your ability, and then you're also not finishing them. There's just a lot that goes into lack of focus when you have limited time and there are things that you want to do, mama. So focus, focus, focus. Every day that I turn my computer on, I shut the notifications on. I don't need to know what's going on Facebook. I don't need to know what I have scheduled yet, because I am still in the process of waking up and doing my things, right? So focus is so important in motherhood. Number 6, quality versus quantity. Here is what I mean by that. What matters is how present you are in the time that you are with your doing the thing, okay, and with your kids. It doesn't matter that you spend all day with them. How present are you being with them? How present are you being with yourself? How present are you being with your partner or your family or your relationships? Quality matters so much than how much or how long. And this has helped me because I am doing things outside of motherhood, right? So during the times that I do take my son to childcare, what helped me with mom guilt and leaving him there was, okay, this hour is being spent for me. This hour is being spent for me, or these 2 hours, one is being spent for my physical, one is being spent for my work. And that is so that I can have more time to be present, more opportunity to be present when I do take him later on to the beach or to the park. I don't have to be on my phone. I can leave my phone in the car or in my pocket for an hour and not look at it, because I'm with my son. I can play with him. I can be creative. I can come up with something for us to do and have fun at it, because he needs my attention. He needs my presence and he wants my presence. So, ladies, mamas, quantity versus quality. And try that. If you're having mom guilt for something that you're doing or trying to do, it's normal. It's so normal. And think of, how can I make this so the time that I'm spending away from my son, or the time I'm spending away from my kid or kids, my children, um, how can I make up for that in presence later on, later today, at some point in the day? Presence where you're shutting everything off. Again, same thing with focus, right? You're focusing on what's at hand here. All right, number 7. You really will turn into your mother in motherhood. I didn't believe it. I thought, not me. And guess what? I find myself saying things that my mother used to say to me. So, ladies, if you are just starting your process, and my experience is my experience. I'm sharing it with you guys. You can validate your own. I encourage you to validate your own experience. Yet, uh, I have found myself turning into my mother. And I'm conscious of it. And it's something that I am working on. It's not a bad thing, right? It's funny to me that I really am turning into my mother. So shout out to you, mama. That I do laugh. It's funny to me that's what's happening. I love you, and thank you for all that you have done, my queen. I love you so much. um number eight number eight the eighth thing that nobody told me about motherhood is that comedy is important, laughing is important, joking is important. Nothing is that serious, mama. I know it can just get to the point where you are so caught up in what's going on. Yeah, learn to laugh a little. Learn to make fun of yourself. Learn to just it, again, shout out to Mark England. Goody goody gumdrops. That's what I use. Since you spilled all that on the floor. Goody goody gumdrops. Yeah. And I'm working at it because it's not ingrained in me yet, right? I'm working at it. It's something that I'm doing. I'm finding my rhythm with in motherhood, where learning to laugh and comedy and being I've taken to doing reels on Instagram lately, mamas, and that's been my relief, my comedic relief with motherhood is doing those reels. And I'm having fun. I'm being creative and I'm laughing at myself and I'm entertaining, which was something that I didn't realize how much it was in me until I'm doing this project and all this stuff. And it's helped me. It's helped me. So laugh, smile, nothing's that serious. Okay. The ninth thing about motherhood, your relationship with your child is really the only unconditional love there is. Period. Let me explain. The relationship I have with my husband is conditional. In order for us to continue being attracted to each other, to continue being drawn to each other, to continue being wanting to be around each other, means that we must continue evolving together, right? That is a condition. If I stop growing or he stops growing and the other person continues to grow, guess what's going to happen? Okay. If I'm not open to growing or he's not open to growing or whatever the case may be, there's conditions to that kind of love. Okay. Not good or bad, not bad or worse. Or yeah, not bad or worse. It's different. My child will always be my child. Okay. My child is, whether he pulls my hair today or smacks me tomorrow or kisses me, or he will always be my baby. He will always be my child. And I'm not going to, there is no condition to that, right? It's such a big love that it's different. It's just different. And it's a love that you would have never, I would have never. It's a love that I never even considered or I knew was possible. I sure people told me you're going to love your kids so much, but it wasn't something, honestly, I would have never ever guessed what this was going to be. I would have never guessed what this was going to be like. So now that I'm in it, I know what a big love is. It is. And I know how unconditional it could be, at least for now, because it was when he's an adult, he gets to make his own decisions, right? As his mother, I'm going to do the absolute best to honor him and to evolve and grow with him because I don't know what he's going to be like. Yet he will have his own, he's his own sovereign being. He's his own person. And at the end of the day, mamas, let's just say, this breaks my heart to even say it yet. He can be like, you know what, mom? I don't want you in my life. That would break my heart. I would do everything in my power to say, to avoid that, right? Yet he is his own person and he gets to make his own decisions. And as long as at the end of the day and at the end of that term, I could say, you know what? I did my best. I evolved. I was open. I did what I could do. I put myself in the best position. Then I can be proud. I can be proud of the person of that. And that's what I'm doing. Right. So it is the only unconditional love there is. Okay. Um, the 10th thing and my last thing, I promise, Jefas, that I'm learning in motherhood that no one ever told me was that you, that I would love this way, that you would, this is a love that you could have never imagined. Okay. And it's beautiful and it's messy and it's deep and it's all the things. That's what I'm getting at. It's all of the things. It's such a roller coaster. At it's a time to feel alive, and I equate this experience to jumping out of a plane. Jumping out of a plane when I skydive. I've been having those experiences lately, and this is what I mean. You get on the plane and you're getting nervous, and oh my god, you're getting higher and higher up in the air, and all of a sudden your palms are getting sweaty, and now you are nervous, and oh my god, what's going to happen now, the unknown and this and that, and you're in the plane and you start filing to jump out of there, and you're at the edge, and now your heart feels like it has stopped, and oh no, I'm not going to do this. You're thinking to yourself, I don't want to do this. Why would I do this? I'm not going to do it. Before you know it, it's too late. You've jumped off of the plane. Your heart's racing and you're screaming. You can't even hear yourself because you're screaming so loud. Your throat is hurting. And all of a sudden they pull the parachute. It's all the things, right? And they pull the parachute, and serenity and peace, calm and beauty. And you get to the bottom and you're like, woo, let's do it again. And that's what it is. That's what this love is like. And why wouldn't you want to experience something so beautiful? It's all the things. And it is the time that you feel the most alive when you're in that kind of love with anything, let alone your child, this person that you brought into the world. Was a little peanut, started as a little peanut in your belly, and then all of a sudden they're out in the world and they're walking around and they're talking and they're operating and they're emoting, and it's a psychedelic experience. It's the craziest psychedelic experience that I have ever been a part of, and it's beautiful. So there you go. All of my things that no one ever told me about motherhood, that I am learning. I am still learning. This list may be different, next year or the year after. And you know what? I would want it to be, because if I'm in the same place next year as I am today, I'm not growing. Okay. So think about that, Jefas. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, follow, and share the podcast with another mama that could benefit from this message. I'd also love for you to leave a review. Let me know what you would love to hear on La Jefa Experience. I do like Instagram. For the most part, I do like Instagram. And Facebook. So please, if you feel called to, taking a screenshot, tagging me at @row_Cisco on Instagram, or on Facebook at ROCIO Cisco. And as always, Jefas, you are worthy and have the power to stress less, love more, and be unstoppable. Go get them, mama. See you all next week.